Hello, hello. Today we are going to be going over Bryan Kohberger's travels. This timeline shows the alleged travels on November 13th of Bryan Kohberger. I will link the website that I got this on in the description so that you can follow along. If I forget, just remind me, because I'm saying that now, but I'll forget. The locations and times were established with a combination of videos that allegedly show Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra and network connections his cell phone allegedly made with various towers. Investigators put these details in an affidavit that was released last Thursday. So we're gonna be looking over this, see what we can get. We're going to start, by the way, I am going to finish going over the affidavit tomorrow, but I wanted to do this first just because I saw this. I was trying to put this together and then I came across it and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So I think people sent it to me as well. So thank you if you sent it to me. I'm still trying to catch up on emails. I haven't really started catching up yet, so I'm going to do that tomorrow as well. Okay, so 2:42 a.m. His cell phone is located at his residence at Northeast Valley Road in Pullman. So we're up here. And then 2:47 a.m., the cell phone shows it traveling south through Pullman, but then stops reporting a network connection. So he drives from there to there and then shuts off the phone. What was going on at that time? King of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, the Emperor. Okay, so I said his cell phone pings at 2:42 a.m. and then shows it traveling south and then loses connection 2:47 a.m. I said, what was happening? I got two males and an outpouring of emotion. One was in control of what we were talking about, and what we were talking about was the cell phone pinging in one place and then another place. So we have one male that's in control of what's going on there. And then we have the other man that's grounded somewhere. And this card came out with the Ace of Cups. So this man was in charge of, or was the reason behind why the cell phone went from one place to another place. And then this man was grounded in place somewhere that he had an emotional connection or emotional attachment to what he was doing. I really don't think it's Bryan that moved his car. I feel like that coming out first was like a confirmation to me of that. Like a big one. Let me just pull. Okay, so we're going to go with this deck. Well, these decks, because it's two in one. So I want energy from this King of Pentacles and energy from the Emperor card. I want to know if the energies are going to be similar to one another or if they're going to be different, where it would be obvious that it's two different people we're talking about here. So first for the King of Pentacles. The Exile. Forsaken Soldier. Strategy, failure, trauma. That's for the King of Pentacles. That's for the male figure that was grounded in place somewhere with an emotional attachment to what he was doing, aka allegedly Bryan. The Exile, Forsaken Soldier. And he does have a big sword in his hand. Oh, he has a sword on the ground too. He has one up in the air in his hand and one's like going into the ground. I'm feeling like that's confirmation of what I just said, that's two separate people, but let's see what the other card is as well. So the energy for the Emperor, please let the card be very different than this card, where it's clear that it's two different people, or very similar, where it's clear that it could possibly be the same person. So for the Emperor. Charon, the ferryman. The ferryman. The one who's moving the car. Necessity, focus, transition. Well, yeah, it's like someone moving the vehicle in the shadows. You can't see who the person is, but they're there and they're moving it. I mean, okay, so we have the King of Pentacles, which is the person, the one male figure that's grounded into place, as in like secure in place. This could be when he was waiting. Oh, maybe this is trying to help the timelines line up. So we're talking 2:47 a.m. This is saying that Bryan was already grounded. So either like outside waiting in the woods or actually in the house waiting. Let's pull a card for that. Five of Wands reverse. Conflict avoidance. Oh, we also got Five of Swords reverse. A fair fight. Conflict avoidance. So I would say he wasn't yet in the house, but he was grounding. He was waiting in the woods. Okay, so what I'm getting, my opinion, allegedly, that at 2:42 to 2:47, I believe that Bryan was already at the house, in place, kind of just like, honestly, like that, like sitting there kind of watching. He had an emotional attachment to what he was doing and where he was. Conflict avoidance, so it's like he's not trying to go in too early and cause, like he had to wait for the appropriate sign. I don't know if maybe this was the girls turning out their lights. Queen of Swords. Oh, swords because knife, and then waiting for the queen. Yeah. Okay, so he was waiting for them to turn out their lights. He didn't want to go in too early and cause like an unnecessary hiccup in the plan. Little did he know he would be hiccuping a lot later. And then we have the Five of Swords, which is about like giving himself a fair chance to be able to do this. Maybe it wasn't the girl's light that he was waiting to go off. Maybe it was Ethan and Xana. No. Xana was still up. Why do I feel like it was Ethan and Xana? Two of Swords. Oh, he was waiting for everybody's lights to go off. He was waiting for the lights in general to go off. Because then we have this Forsaken Soldier, like the one who actually goes to battle. He does have two knives, so I feel like in terms of this card, it's a confirmation that there was somebody else involved. And then we had this other person, which, if he's grounded somewhere, how is he also traveling and moving? He's not. This is a second person. This is the person that had the control over the vehicle moving from point 1 to point 2 and then disconnecting from, and also from the service. And then this is also like going into like a dark tunnel, and then you'd eventually lose phone service, I guess. Like I feel like this looks like a place where you would lose phone service, and then it also has the element of the person driving the boat, the person traveling, while this is what's happening. This person has the control over what we're talking about with the phone, but this person is grounded in place, waiting for their opportunity, giving themselves a fair chance at not having anything unnecessary happen in their plan, waiting for all the lights to go off so that they could fulfill this desire that they had an emotional connection to. Well, he, not they. Well, before I was like, I'm not sure if maybe somebody was helping him and they weren't sure what they were helping him with. This person knew what they were helping with. So now we are at 3:29 to 4:20 a.m. The Elantra makes 3 initial passes by the King Road residence, leaving via Walenta Drive. So now we're over here. There. It returns a 4th time at 4:04 a.m. First driving eastbound on King Road. It leaves the area at 4:20 a.m. Okay, hold on. Okay, so the Hyundai makes 3 initial passes by the King Road residence. Why? Whoop. Ace of Swords. It was in reverse, the Fool in reverse. It was supposed to happen earlier. He was supposed to be done earlier. My eyes are really watery. Either something delayed the onset of him being able to attack, or it's the fact that he had to like stop and go back in, or try to go back in for the sheath, and then encountered Ethan and Xana. Something made this take longer than it was, either made it take longer than he had like allotted time for, or he had to start later. So it's the Fool in reverse is like being unprepared. And then the Ace of Swords is like waiting for that one person that's in there. So I'm getting this image of someone kind of driving around the block like, all right, dude, like you should just be ready to jump in the car. What are you doing? And then Brian's not ready, doesn't jump in the car because he's not done. He had to go back in. Yeah, it's almost like the yeah, it's like the plan was for someone to drive by and Bryan to just like jump in the car and then go. But it didn't happen because something was late. What was the energy of, or what was the energy in the car as the car was going around the block those 3 times? And this was at 3:29 to 4:20. Arthur, champion of Avalon. What did I say? What was the energy in the car? Companionship, nobility, self-realization, and it has a guy with a sword on the card. This is the person in the car driving around saying, oh crap, he's not done. I wonder if something went wrong. I'm just going to leave the car. Maybe there was like a backup plan. Like if something happens, which I'm sure there was because I'm sure he thought ahead. If something happens and I'm not done on time. Oh, I said before that was it my dream? I saw like Bryan taking the keys off of like the wheel well in his car, like as if someone were to leave the keys on the wheel. So that would make sense if someone was trying to drive by real quick and scoop him up and get out of there, but he wasn't done yet. And the person was like, okay, something might be going wrong. Let me leave the car. That's why they were backing in and out, trying to find a spot that Bryan would... It would be like if they said, if something goes wrong and you take too long, I'll leave the car, go out of the house and make a left, or go out of the house and make a right, and that's where the car will be, and I'll leave the keys on the wheel, and you can just take them and go when you are done, just in case something is wrong, because the other person wouldn't want to be continually driving around the house. That's what I'm getting, especially with that. I mean, look at the image. Oh, I thought that was blood, but it's not. Yeah, that's my opinion. That's what I'm getting there. It returns a fourth time around 4:04 a.m. First driving eastbound on King Road. Queen of Cups. Xana crying. It returns a fourth time at 4:04 a.m. The only pour of emotions that we've been able to hear about is that one specific thing that Dylan said, that she could hear Xana crying. I feel like this is when Xana was crying. It happened at 4:04 or around that time. Essentially, when the car was making that fourth pass, that's when Xana was being attacked, I believe, around that time. So that would make sense, because if he was back, if he had not been planning for Ethan and Xana, had to go back in the house, encounter them, then that time of attacking Ethan and Xana wouldn't be accounted into the original plan. And that's why that person had to continually drive around the block, because they were like, okay, this is too long. Because they had to time it perfectly so that Bryan could be seen on certain cameras and just say that he was just stalking that night. How could I kill people if I drove by in 2 seconds? If you see I'm on this camera here and then this camera here, that doesn't give enough time for me to kill these people. But what went wrong was that something delayed him or caused him extra time that he wasn't accounting for. But that fourth pass, when that car was driving by a fourth time, that was the driver, allegedly, my opinion, that was the driver of the car realizing something might be going wrong because he's 4 passes around the house too late. So I'm going to leave the car here like we planned as a backup and get out of here. High Priestess flew out. I said that Xana, I feel like, is a very highly evolved soul. Like I keep saying soul age, she's the oldest. I feel like that's like a little confirmation that that's when Xana was being attacked. Because I just had the Queen of Cups, which is about that outpouring of emotion from one of the females. And all we know about in terms of that, Dylan didn't say she heard anybody else cry. She just said she heard Xana cry. So I feel like that's the piece of the puzzle here. And then this was the confirmation about it. It leaves the area at 4:20 a.m. traveling at a high rate of speed. I want one of these now. God King of Duat, which we get this card often from. Commitment, acquisition, and responsibility. And look, now he's holding one thing in each hand. It's like now he's back in control. He has the reins again. This was Bryan getting back in the car and being the driver. He wasn't the driver previously. I also got the Maestro, Master of Inspiration, and it has the 4 lights. It's like he got back in the car and took control. He had the reins again of his destiny because he was driving the car again, getting away from the scene. And he was taking the 4 lights that he had just snuffed out with him. But look, he has, like 2 kneecaps that are faces. I'm feeling like that's another confirmation of some kind of help or partnership. So now we are, actually, let me just pull some of these for when the car was leaving at 4:20 a.m. 6 of Wands, yeah, getting out of the house, getting back into where he could be seen again. He was trying to be seen. He wanted his car seen on camera. You know what it was? It's almost like he was aware that if caught, they would look back and see the stalking. But he wanted this to look like another instance of stalking so that he could, like, help. Is it possible he wanted to originally be like, yeah, I was stalking them and that night I saw something weird and now I really want to help you investigate it? I don't know. Something maybe like that. But he essentially wanted to have his car seen here and then here and then here, even if his phone wasn't, because he was trying to set up a just in case I get caught, but it didn't work out the right way because there was some kind of delay or time frame issue. We kept getting that card, time frame issue. I believe it's because he went back for the sheath and encountered Ethan, and that's when everything got messed up. Wasn't there footage of like people running from the house or something like that from the body cam footage? Nine of Cups. It's almost like maybe the person who parked the car walked around by the house to like, no, I don't think they would do that though. It's almost like maybe the person was waiting nearby to see if Bryan made it out. I don't think the person just like got up and left permanently, because I'm feeling like they reunited with Bryan. Either they had to know what happened. Death, yeah. They reunited at some point. I don't know if maybe they had a pickup spot. I don't know, maybe we'll find out. But essentially what I'm saying is I'm seeing the person like leaving the car, but not leaving the area. Like the person didn't just like up and leave. They were either close enough to see the house, or maybe they were close enough to see like if cops would be flocking to the house. Oh, maybe it's maybe it's that they didn't want to leave because they didn't want to communicate with Bryan right after and have that kind of trail. I don't know. Maybe we'll look more into that. 4:48 a.m. So now we're 28 minutes after we just talked about previously. The cell phone comes back online and pings in Blaine near US Highway 95. 4. So now we're here. Blaine. So Bryan's house, Idaho 4's house. Now we're down here about a half hour after that. What was he doing in Blaine? Oh wait, so then the next one is 2 minutes later, the cell phone pings near Gansey, then Uniontown. Okay, so he was just traveling through, essentially. He wasn't going slow enough to do anything. Although, let's check, because he could have re-met up with the accomplice there. Potential accomplice, in my opinion. Ten of Pentacles. You know, I think he was just driving. I think he was just driving. So 4:50 to 5:27, the cell phone pings near Gansey, then Uniontown, and then finally Pullman between 5:25 and 7. Gansey, Uniontown. Oh, okay. So he went back up. Okay. So why did he take that long way back home? So essentially, so far where we're at, it's basically saying that instead of going from here back to here, he went down and up like a big U. So what was the purpose of that? Hangman reverse, trying to bring about a delay. Knight of Pentacles. Is it possible that he went that way to kind of, like, maybe the other person and him had some kind of meeting spot? Like, the Knight of Pentacles is like a very reliable, sensible energy. This would be like if Bryan went that way and while going that way, someone like hops in the car really quick, like, oh, I'll meet you at this, it doesn't have to be somewhere that he like stopped and pulled over. It could just be like, go this way home if something goes south and I have to leave the car and don't pick. Okay, so the original plan, in my opinion, was something like, I'll drive by and you jump in the car and we're out. But that went south. The person had to do the backup plan, which was leaving the car somewhere with the keys. And then that person somehow got somewhere on his route home. Maybe it was like, don't go straight home, go this way, because if the cops do get called, then we can kind of, you know, not just be sitting in the apartment. We can get out, we can flee. This to me is feeling like somebody who knows what they're doing more than Bryan. Like, either knows what they're, so it could be someone like his, like an equal colleague of his who has more experience in the criminal aspect of it as opposed to like the learning about it in school aspect. So like where a criminal and a law or criminal investigator person come together, where it could be some kind of like mentor. But I feel like the purpose of them meeting back up was for the weapon. Like the other person was meant to be disposing of the weapon. Okay, okay, so I'm going to pull 2 cards and I want to know the energy in the car on Bryan's U-shaped trip that was way out of the way going back home. If it's the same person in the car, I want the cards to be similar enough that we're like, oh, that's the same person's energy. Or if it's different, I want something like it was before where it was clear that one person was like stagnant and one person was moving, or stationary and moving. So first, well, I guess Bryan would be the driver because he would just be hopping in. So Bryan's energy, allegedly Bryan's energy. Martyr, matron of the blind, honesty, shame, restitution. Oh, and it's a person with bloody hands. Got ya. It's almost like this figure has like a dark halo shape over their head with the bloody hands. Let's see what other card we get, but this is making me feel like martyr, like matron of the blind. Let's see what the other card is first for the other person, or mother of creation. Motherhood, ferocity, creation. So one person created the opportunity or talked about the opportunity or put forth the idea, and the other person enacted it. That's not to say this person didn't want to do it, but I do think that there's... not the first feminine energy card that I've gotten in this element. However, it could just be a male with more in tune with their emotions. Or it could be yeah, look, this person has like 4 strings coming off their horns. It's like this person doing these murders was like the strings attached to this person. It came from this person. What else can we know about that? Ten of Cups reversed. Yeah, it's like after this they had to part ways. They had to, like, what I'm getting is that either this idea exactly to do this was presented to someone, or just like, hey, what if we did this, but then only one person goes through with it, but it's the other person that like created the path to do it. And then after it's done, it's like that person kind of takes control back for the weapon. Why do I feel like him doing all of this is to throw people off? Did Bryan hand the weapon off to someone else for like this judgment in reverse? Unfinished lessons. 7 of Swords. Scheming and strategy. And self-doubt. So it's like, it's almost like somebody knew about this happening because they kind of put the idea out there. Bryan decided to do it, but it's like, in part at least, Bryan doing this was for the wisdom or experience for another person. Like, another person wanted to like have this happen. This is confusing to try and read. It would be like if another person wanted this to happen for some kind of experiment or research or something. This is just an example, but I don't know how else to say it without giving an example. So someone wanted to research something, use Bryan as like a guinea pig, but because they could see that he already had this brewing within him. It's not that they planted the seed was bloomed. They just took advantage of that. But it's like Bryan couldn't be trusted with this weapon after because they knew of this emotional connection that he had to it. So it would be like if the other person obviously didn't want to get caught either and somehow took charge of where that weapon ended up going. But then we have strategy here. So I almost feel like all of this is to try and lead people into thinking that the weapon's going to be in this location so that people spend time there, and then Bryan can use that as a potential defense, like, oh, well, I went here and you guys haven't found the weapon. Chariot in reverse. Knight of Wands in reverse, a delay. Three of Pentacles, a team working together. Going in the wrong direction, causing a delay, a team working behind the scenes together. Feminine energy. Two horses going in different directions. What can we know about how long after the murders did Bryan have this weapon in his possession? Page of Cups. Five of Cups. Yeah, he went back in, like, during the murders, he was, like, in this control position, and then afterwards, he went back into this, like, not like a childlike, but like, okay, I'm taking directions or instructions from somebody else because of that emotional attachment. It's like Bryan knew that he couldn't be trusted to separate himself from the weapon, but he wanted to keep it safe. So he had someone else put it somewhere for him while he made this distraction, just in case of potentially getting caught later. Essentially what I'm seeing in the Five of Cups is like being disappointed, like feeling like some cups are knocked over. So it's like, okay, you got away with it, but now you got to separate from this weapon that you feel a deep emotional connection to. It's a lot of trust, though, to give someone else the murder weapon. The World. Huh. I can see if it was a mentor or someone who was like the in-charge person. I could see how maybe they wanted the weapon from Bryan so that there's no way that Bryan could use it as leverage. Like, okay, I'll tell you where the weapon is and then I'll tell you everything else. So you can see it's this person involved. And maybe from Bryan's perspective, maybe it was, okay, this person can keep this weapon safe and hidden just in case anything happens so that I can get it back when I get out. The cell phone pings, Gansey, Uniontown, Pullman. Between 5:25 and 5:27 a.m., the white sedan is recorded by 5 cameras in Pullman and on the WSU campus. So now he's back up in this area. 9 to 9:21 a.m. the following day, the cell phone shows it leaves his residence and travels to Moscow. Between 9:12 and 9:21, it connects with cellular resources that provide coverage to the area where King Road is located. 9 to 9:21. So what was he doing at that time? Wheel of Fortune, 8 of Wands. 10 of Wands is a heavy burden. He was hoping for good luck. Fast communication. He was hoping for good luck, but hoping that what had happened had already been found out. How does that make sense? Heavy burden. I don't know what he was hoping for. It's weird. Well, the Wheel of Fortune is like him not expecting to see nothing happening when he got there. Like he was expecting. It's almost like he drove there wanting to see police and all of that. Didn't see it. Thought about, okay, is this my lucky break? Should I go in and get the sheath? Because that's the only thing that's going to connect me. And it seems like nobody found out what happened yet because nobody's here. He knew that he had this like weight on his shoulders because he's like, if once they find the sheath, there is a higher potential of connecting me, potentially. He knew he had to do it right away. Like, if I'm going to do it, I have to jump out the car and do it real quick. But he saw someone's light, or he saw someone up. Either saw someone up or something. Like maybe someone got up to the bathroom, or maybe he just talked himself out of it. So essentially what I'm seeing is that he didn't go there for the sheath per se. He went there thinking like, I want to see my work, the results of my work. But when he didn't see anything, he was like, oh, I'm going to go back in for that sheath. And then something happened where he didn't end up going back in. Queen of Pentacles reversed. It's like maybe someone was going to the bathroom, or maybe somebody was walking by the house. It could have been anything. But something, like, there was like, he pulled up or drove by expecting to see cops, didn't see any cops. For a split second, he was like, oh, this is my chance. I remember how I said the universe, he felt like the universe was like supporting his decision. So it's almost like he thought that was happening again, where he's like, oh, I have the chance to go back in and get it now. And then something threw him off and he didn't, and he drove away. 9:32 a.m. So this is 10 minutes after that. The cell phone returns to the area of his residence. So essentially he drove there and drove right back. Why? Page of Swords. Yeah, the childlike energy with the knife. Turns to his residence. Justice. Oh, this is when he meets with another person. He didn't get rid of the knife right afterwards. Oh. This would be like if he was like in communication with someone and said like, okay, it's done. So maybe he didn't pick someone up on the way. Maybe it's this day. It would be like if Bryan said to someone, okay, I did this, blah, blah, blah. And then the person was like, okay, what'd you do with the knife? And he's like, oh, it's in my trunk. And they were like, no, you obviously aren't going to do anything with this. Page of Wands reversed. Self-limiting beliefs. Yeah, he wasn't able to get rid of the knife. This would be like if somebody that knew what they were doing was involved, or at least like, okay, I'm going to take the knife and I'm going to go here. You go down there for 3 hours, shut off your phone, make it look like you're doing something down there, and then they'll focus on that area and never be able to find it here. Which would make sense if he didn't want to get rid of it permanently. That would make sense to throw people off and have them look in the wrong spot. This is not where I saw this reading going. King of Swords in reverse. Huh. Yeah, this would be like one person taking back control and saying, this is what you're going to do. You're going to give it to me. Knight of Cups. Yeah, the male more in charge, and then the younger like taking directions. And then Knight of Cups is Bryan, because it's that emotional connection that he has to it. And this is the person saying, no, 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 no. Come on, I'm taking it. I'm taking control. You're doing what I say. You obviously have too much of an emotional connection. You're not going to do what you have to do to get out of this. I'm going to pull 2 of these. I want one for this Knight of Cups and one for this King of Swords. Let's do the King first, which would be the mentor or the leader. Or the person who took control, took charge. Forgetting oneself. Calling the storm. Revenge. Forgetting oneself. Calling the storm, but it's in reverse, and revenge. And that person's holding 2 swords. The person that I believe that Bryan is working with is someone who had something really bad happen to them. Maybe like a murder of a family member or death of a family member that was like maybe ruled as accidental but actually wasn't, or something. This person feels wronged by life. This person sees Bryan as like a straw through which they can pour out their hate without getting their hands dirty. So I don't feel like this would be somebody who's like an already known serial killer. I feel like this would be somebody who is very closely connected to the criminal justice system, or studies, or law, or something. Someone, oh, remember how I said before, he's like being protected by someone with some kind of power or authority. That's this person. And the protection is protecting him from himself because he doesn't know where that knife is because the other person took it. Calling the storm would be like, okay, like I'm ready for the storm, but it's in reverse. So it's like, no, you're going to make it storm if you keep this knife because you're going to get found out. So you need to give it to me. And then revenge is the person's ultimate motive. And look, there's 2 knives or 2 swords in the person's hand. And it's like angel wings, but made out of dead trees. So it's like the life has been sucked from this person. They've been wronged in some way. They're trying to enact some kind of revenge. Could it be a direct revenge that they're just trying to see how to get away with it? 8 of Cups reversed. No, I think it's more of like an ongoing thing. Like trying to set up somewhat of like a blueprint to enact revenge on like a group or dynamic of people that they feel like they've been wronged by. Okay, so that was 9:32 a.m. that he returns to his residence. 12:36, the cell phone shows it is near Kate's Cup of Joe in Clarkston. Number 8. Oh, so now we're all the way down here. So he leaves his house, drives to Moscow, drives home, and then is down here. Cell phone returned. And that's 3 hours after. So he's home, and then 3 hours later, he is near Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand. And then 12:46, which is 10 minutes later, the cell phone pings near the grocery store in Clarkston. So he's going down. Okay, so when he is near Kate's Cup of Joe in Clarkston, what's going on? 7 of Wands, standing your ground. Ace of Pentacles. He was leaving a trail. I'm telling you, he was trying to make it look like he was going that way with the knife when he wasn't. The knife was already out of his possession. That's why he's seen on camera. I bet you on camera he's buying something obvious that's going to make it look like he's like, oh, I'm probably hiding the knife because I'm buying this. But they're not going to find anything because that's not where it is. Six of Cups. It's almost like he was taking pleasure in doing this because he knew that it was going to potentially mislead later. What was his energy when this was happening? When he's near the coffee shop before he goes into the store. The thinker, father of knowledge, instruction, reinvention, trying to reinvent the story. He's being instructed on what to do. So if this is Bryan's energy, going off of the rest of this reading, going off of the assumption that there's somebody else involved in like an instructor, because this is instruction. So the potential instructor, what would their energy be at this time that Bryan was near Kate's cup of joe? El Shaddai, the radiant Lord. Wisdom, paternalism, kindness. Yeah, follow my lead. I know what to do. You go down there, make it look like you're doing this just in case you do get caught, because the sheath, that's why, the sheath. Everything went awry because of that sheath. What if he didn't tell the mentor? Queen of Wands revert. Another feminine energy. That's demanding. In my opinion, this would be like, allegedly, this would be like Bryan did what he did, didn't tell, like, I don't know if they communicated and he just left that part out, or he lied, or they didn't talk. I don't know, but like, it's almost like Bryan went back the next morning, and that's when he communicated with this person that he had left the sheath there. And this person was like, I'm taking the knife. You can't hold on to it. I'm taking the knife. Because they knew that it could... Either they knew it was more likely that they could be connected to it if Bryan flips because of like still having the knife as leverage. But like this person took control and was like, I'm going to take it, but you do this, so that it misleads people because of that sheath being left there. Like, go down here, make it look like you're doing some shady business so that they'll focus on down here and they'll never look over here where it actually is. And then Bryan would not be able to turn on that person, because if he turned on that person, they could be like, oh yeah, well, do you want to know where the knife is with his fingerprints on it? Because I'll tell you. So that person's using it as leverage against Bryan, knowing that Bryan can't flip on them about it, because if he does, they could be like, okay, well, here's the knife. I hid it for him, maybe, but here's the knife. Or he told me where it was, something. And then that guarantees Bryan could never tell where the knife is, because if he doesn't know, how is he going to tell? And if he says, oh, well, so-and-so hid the knife for me, I don't think that they disposed of it themselves. I think they either got someone else to do it, or they were just very careful that it couldn't lead back to them. That person's a lot smarter than Bryan, the helper, that the other person who's involved here. Okay, so as the knife was being disposed of or hidden or put wherever it is now by this person who demanded to be able to do this so that Bryan, if he did get caught, could not lead back to them, in my opinion, allegedly. So when the knife was being put wherever it is now, what was the person's energy that was putting it there? fated to suffer, but in reverse. Look, it's some, oh, the apple. Didn't somebody commented that somebody said that they saw him eating an apple? There's the apple. Eating the apple could be symbolic of taking the poisonous fruit from this other person, because he didn't know that their intentions was so that they couldn't be brought down. And then handing over the knife. And it's a shadow man handing over something. It could be something full of blood to that feminine energy. And this person it's very hard to see, but this person has like a basket. I don't think you can see it at all. There's a basket there. Probably like of other apples. So it's like there's other... Maybe Bryan did get rid of some stuff, but not the knife. Maybe that's what it is. So that, like, if they found, let's say, bloody clothes or something, he'd be like, yeah, but obviously the knife's not there. Yeah, I was there at the scene. I don't know, let me see. More about this fated to suffer card. But it was in reverse, so it's like the other person's like, all right, I'm not going down for this. You messed up, so I'm going to fix it now. Give me the knife. You will get rid of the rest of this stuff. Two of Pentacles in reverse, being overcommitted to something. Like, I'm in too deep now. Now I got to step up and do something about this because you messed up. The interior cameras capture him walking through the store of Albertsons, purchasing items at the checkout and leaving the store at 1:04 p.m. Let me try these. Can we know anything about what he purchased? Bunny rabbit. So it could be like digging, something for digging. A Target. A marker of some sort. Something for digging and something to mark the spot that he dug. Like maybe like something to put nearby so that if he had to go back to this location, he could say, okay, there's the marker, so it's 30 feet this way or something. One more. A bell. A bell. Oh, so we know about the bell. The sun. Yeah, he was trying to be seen. He was trying to be, either trying to be seen or knowing he was going to be seen and trying to paint a certain picture with what he was buying. Additional evidence is at the crime scene. This case will remain unsolved until key evidence is discovered. I don't think it's not necessarily unsolved, but I think it's saying that there's more to be found here. Key evidence. So yeah, additional evidence is at the crime scene. This case will remain unsolved until key evidence is discovered. So we have this has a big A and this has a big T. It made me think at Bell Bunny Target. Something for digging. Some kind of marker. Is it possible that maybe like a last ditch effort would be for him to say, okay, it's here. There's a marker that's this. If you look 20 feet to the right, there you'll find this. But it's not the knife because I didn't do it. I just was there. Like something that he would say. Like a last ditch effort. 5:36 to 8:30, the phone stops reporting to a network during this time. This is the final mention the affidavit gives of his alleged movements on the 13th. So there's no number 10 on here. So his phone stops reporting. So what was he doing during those 3 hours? Hierophant, higher knowledge, wisdom from a mentor, 9 of Swords reverse, releasing fear. So what was he doing during those 3 hours? He was doing what he was told. I think he was disposing of evidence down there, but I don't necessarily think it was the knife per se. I don't think that the knife is with the rest of the evidence. Is it possible that the mentor or the other person helping took the knife to originally try and frame someone else until they discovered that Bryan's DNA was on the sheath? So I was picking up on a lot of potential, like, framing energy. The Lovers came out. 6 of Pentacles reverse, a debt, a one-sided debt. Also, like a power dynamic that's kind of rooted one way. But that is like a partnership. Ace of Wands reverse. They bonded over rejection. Whoever this person is that's also involved in some way in this. It's also someone who's either been rejected from opportunities, rejected from relationships, rejected from friendships. Like something bad happened where they felt like they were wronged in some way. But besides that, this person and Bryan bonded it over this feeling of rejection. Oh, I'm a rejected soul too. The world rejects me too. And it's almost like this person had been waiting to put these plans in motion for some time and then discovered Bryan and maybe came into the knowledge of his like darker mindset, or maybe he had his own plans and they just kind of added to them in some way. I don't know, but I in my opinion, I don't feel that was Bryan moving his car. I really don't. I think that the timeline issue card that we were getting before is that something threw off the timing of what was meant to happen and either caused Bryan to start later or take longer in terms of enacting his plan. I'm going to collect all these cards and then we're going to try and do north, south, east, and west as to where the knife and other evidence could be. So be right back. Okay, so starting from Pullman, which is up here, The Knight's location. North, south, east, west, or there. North is 4 of Swords. North, south is the Emperor. East is 7 of Wands. And then west is 9 of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, southeast. We have the Emperor, which is like the control or trying to like imagine like sitting on your throne. So like sitting on this information that you know is powerful. And then the 7 of Wands is about like protecting yourself, protecting your territory. Okay, so southeast. So from Pullman, I wonder how many miles that is. Okay, so if we split this into sections, there's Pullman. Let's do section 1, like split it into thirds, right? So from Pullman to Lewiston, we're taking that distance and we're doing the first third of that chunk, the second third. Should we do it in quarters instead? No, third. So first third, second third, third third in terms of the distance between Pullman and Lewiston. 2 cards for the first third in terms of knife location. King of Wands reversed. The Chariot reversed. So no. Second, third. High Priestess. Queen of Pentacles reversed. That feminine energy. I wonder if he met the other person on his drive going down to where he did go. I wonder if somewhere along there is where he either encountered or I don't think he left it anywhere. It would have to be some kind of handoff. But it's like this person was using their better sense and then they were like, okay, I need to step out of character to make sure that this doesn't go the wrong way. Not step out of character because it's not that this isn't in this person's character, but like this wasn't their role wasn't supposed to be getting rid of the weapon because he wasn't supposed to leave the sheath there. But this person knew if he does get arrested because of the sheath and feels the pressure of that, it's this person not wanting it to come back to. It's like a bargaining tool that Bryan didn't realize that that's what was being set up. He thought the person was really trying to help him like keep the weapon but hide it. But the person's intention was to make it so that he couldn't turn on them. Because then they could just be like, here's the weapon with his fingerprints on it. Or his, maybe assuming that, okay, if he left DNA on the sheath, there's likely DNA on the weapon too. And then the third, 3 of Pentacles. And that Knight of Wands reversed again. And the 6 of Cups reversed. So this was upright before. This was reversed before. And this was reversed before. So now the team is working together. some kind of delay. And then the Six of Cups being reversed is like not wanting to let go of something. So not wanting to let go of the knife. Two of Wands reversed, plans falling apart. Things not going the way they were supposed to. Is it possible that whoever was involved in this lives in that Lewiston area? Death. Lovers. They have a connection to the area. It might not be that they live there themselves. It would be like if the person who was also involved with this, it would be like if they knew of somewhere in that area to hide the weapon and they were like, okay, I'll take the weapon and you go get rid of the rest of the stuff so that they're not in the same spot. And Ten of Cups reversed. This person wasn't happy about having to do this. They didn't want to, they felt like they had to because it would give Bryan a way to turn on this person, but the knife being in this person's like the person has the knife and knows where it is. Bryan might not know where it is, but knows the person has it, but can't turn on them and say that, hey, this person's involved too, because that would be admitting guilt. It's not like he could frame that person because of the knife. I do feel like there's some kind of blood on the knife from Bryan. Ten of Pentacles. We just had the Ten of Cups reversed and then Ten of Pentacles. This does have something to do, I guess it could be like trying to make it, the other person has some kind of protective or privilege element. Like either they have like knowledge that they shouldn't, or they have like behind the scenes type of access, either directly or through somebody. The Empress reverse, the feminine energy again. Feminine energy would also be like, you're going to do this. You're going to give me the knife now so I can get rid of it for you. It's almost like if Bryan said, I'm going to go get rid of all the evidence, and the person didn't believe that he would actually get rid of the knife. And it's not that the knife would implicate the other person. It's that the person wanted to take as many steps as possible so that Bryan wouldn't be like pushed into a corner in terms of like trying to flip on them. Like they didn't want him to get arrested, I'm saying. So I mean, then I don't think that they like set it up for it to go down like this, is what I'm saying. I don't think he was like set up, in my opinion. So the knife would be southeast from Pullman, in between the, so not the first third, not the second third, the third quadrant. We're looking for some kind of power and water mixed together. Southeast in that third, which would be around Lewiston. Justice in reverse. Yeah, that's what's blocking. That's what's blocking that solid 100% don't have to worry about it conviction. Not that they don't have a lot already, but just like that final piece would be the knife. Premeditated murder. Killer planned out the details in advance, and there is a woman with a hatchet. And the spider web, like a web, everything is woven together. There is a motive for committing the crime, and it's someone crouched down with a bunch of money bags. It's like this is the person that's in charge, but then this person's like the one who's actually doing it, and this person's like crouched down. How I said that Bryan took that like child-ish, like following directions instead of giving directions. Okay, so this is like, so I'm seeing a T and a P here, and I'm thinking like TP, like a covering over something, like a, I'm gonna split this deck in half. TP, a covering. Drugs and poison. Crossroad in reverse next to missing piece. Crossroad, missing piece, crossroad in reverse. And that's like a farm, and it's showing like a tractor with two attachments, two tractor attachments. Missing piece, drugs and poison. We're looking for, in terms of the connection that Bryan has with the potential other person who's involved in this, in my opinion, allegedly, it would be somebody that like isn't like a known drug dealer, but like Bryan comes into the knowledge that this person has their hand in something drug related, and then that's how this connection kind of begins to form, and then it leads into this darker energy through that. Crossroads and missing piece. What else can we know about those cards? Crossroad and missing piece. You know what else I'm noticing? King of Cups. You know what else I'm noticing about this is there's like the two things, and I just said I feel like the knife is not buried with the other evidence. Missing piece, the King of Cups. Temperance, Four of Pentacles, and Seven of Swords. King of Cups. It's this. It was like a trauma bond, like that originated through something drug related, and then there's like some loyalty that Bryan feels to this person. Because he sees a lot of his like similar pain in the other person, but the other person is just looking at it as this person is a very good tool to enact my plan of revenge that I want to unleash. It's likely someone that doesn't let people in very easily and just looks like they would never be involved in something like this. Like they really put on a good front. This person still believes that they're not going to be implicated in this at all. So I don't know if that's because they have something that would make it otherwise, or they just feel safe because it hasn't gone to them yet. But this person feels like they have something and they're holding on to it to protect themselves. It's the location of that knife, because they know that Bryan can't turn on them, because then they can just give in. Because what would he say? Oh, this person did it instead? You can't, because if it's Bryan's DNA on the knife, like a drop of blood or something. I can't quite make sense of the full logic behind it, but it's something along those lines. But the missing piece is about this strategy that they have that's not seen yet. Strangulation in reverse. A bunch of red flowers. I'm telling wherever the clothing and stuff is buried, there's some kind of marker nearby. It's like, okay, so we're bringing in the elements of water, some kind of power mixed with water, and then somewhere where there could be like a marker. So we'd be looking for something that would otherwise be like either like an open field or like a field of trees where, like, if you go back, you're not gonna be exactly sure. So you'd have to have some kind of like everything looks the same around where it's at. Like a bunch of trees that look the same, or an open field that just looks like an open field. But like, if you go back to retrieve these things later, you would need to know where it was. So you would put a marker somewhere very close to it. Power and water. Female. School in reverse. And it's like two copies of the same building, but like one is in the water's reflection. So it's the same building, but you could see it upside down and right side up. I feel like that's another thing that's saying everything is not in the same spot. So a lot of people are seeing things buried, but I was seeing them in water. High power and water mixed together. So maybe it's that the knife is buried and the rest of the stuff is in some kind of like near some kind of, for some reason I'm feeling like it's a power plant, or like a power, something with power. Government in reverse. Okay, so this is about a thought I was having, because I was like, I wonder if it is someone that like is already in some kind of law enforcement or position and this came out. I don't think it is. I think it's something else. Like, I know a lot of things were circulating, like, oh, could it be like a cop that's involved or something like that. I'm not getting that at all. Couple. Pinky promise. Home. Couple, home. What else can we know about those cards? Queen of Swords. Brings in the female and the knife elements together. Couple. Ten of Wands, a heavy burden. The Queen is carrying, the feminine energy is carrying this heavy burden of the Ninth. I am going to pause this because I want to kind of look in. I know a lot of you have sent me locations. I appreciate that. I haven't had a chance to really go through everything yet. I'm going to start to do that now. I'm going to try and look for a possible location in that third of the quadrant here to see if I can maybe find somewhere that fits what I'm looking for now that I kind of have this information. Okay, so let's say that this is correct. Allegedly, my opinion, all that. Let's say this is correct. I want one card for Bryan's. Okay, actually, I want to use these. I know we talked about and used these cards the last time. I just randomly opened it and it was Edmund Kemper again. So I got these. These are similar. It just has the person's name, their title, their number of people, their choice of weapon, what they would do or what their crimes were, birthday, pass away day if they're passed away, how they passed away, and then like the time span of their crimes. Oh, and also I think that's where they're from. Yeah. Oh, Illinois, New York, Michigan. No, where their crimes were. So we're going to use these. I'm going to pull two and then look up what I get. And then what I'm hoping for is that this will either confirm the presence of the accomplice or could either point us in a different direction to maybe like a multiple personality energy that I'm picking up on with Bryan, but I'm really feeling like it was not him driving the car. And I'm feeling like somebody else is involved in the weapon and somebody else is involved in the car, and I don't feel like it's the same person, to be honest. So I'm just going to pull two of these. Charles Ray Hatcher. 16 people with a knife and a rope. He was a ped who kidnapped, arred, and strangled young children. After being caught, he begged the jury for the death penalty, but they refused. He committed suicide by hanging. He was active in his crimes from 1969 to 1982. And then the other card, oh, let me show you. And the other one is Orville Lynn Majors, 6 people with poison. So we have a knife. And then we have the poison. I said that I believe that Bryan knows this other person through what was originally like a surprise drug-related connection or conversation. Majors was a nurse who hated elderly patients and thought that they should all be gassed. That was in quotes. His drugs of choice were potassium chloride and epinephrine. I know I'm saying those wrong. Died in prison, active 1993 to 1995 in Indiana. Majors. We had school. Majors. Hatcher with a knife. Bryan Koberger. I looked up his name and it meant coal. Big pile of coal. Hatcher. Hatcher used a knife. Bryan coal mine? Would a coal mine be power and water mixed together? I have to look into that. But Major's school, this is a connection that he had that has something to do with school or learning. It would be someone that he met through his studies or knew through school, but there was also some kind of drug knowledge or connection between the two of them. And also, this person has no glasses and this person has glasses. So in terms of saying, I want it to either be this, like, knowing that it's the same person or two separate people, I feel like that's kind of pointing to that. Like, one has glasses, one doesn't. Like, one is seeing things clearly, one is not seeing things clearly. And then also we have, for number of kills, the Hatcher person has 16, while the other person, the Major, has 6. So it's like a decade more of experience, or like this person is further along in their studies or their knowledge. And then we have 7 and 6, so it's like a step down. All right, let me look these up and get my phone charger, and I will be right back. Okay, so first looking into Orville Lynn Majors. He was a serial killer who was convicted of murdering his patients in Clinton, Indiana. Though he was only tried for 7 murders and convicted of 6, he was believed to have caused additional deaths between 1993 and 95 when he was employed at the hospital. It was reported that he murdered patients who he claimed were demanding, whiny, or disproportionately adding to his workload. So he didn't... I saw some, but it makes me think of like Bryan, like kind of being like jealous of the way that the girls kind of had it all, the way that they all had friendship in this house, and they all had this like sense of community. They were kind of going towards success and all of those things. Like, that's what that makes me think of. Oh, here it is. Majors was one of the most popular nurses at VCH, especially among elderly patients. He received glowing evaluations. So did Bryan. He exceeded his authority by giving emergency drugs and working in the ICU without a doctor. And VCH fired him. Without a doctor, he didn't have the doctor role, but was trying to work as a doctor. It's like he wanted to be more advanced than he was. Is this confirming that there was something in Ethan's system? 3 of Wands. Waiting for it to kick in. Waiting for it to work. Teamwork, working together. Different elements coming together. I believe that that's what it's confirming. That Ethan was something made it so Ethan was not able to fight back in the way that he normally would have otherwise been able to. And that connection, or like that element of it, is what's coming through the connection to someone else that Bryan has, in terms of getting something from them, or getting the idea of doing it from them, or maybe them finding a way to enact, getting it into Ethan's system somehow. State police noticed several patients' heart patterns widening around the time that Majors was on duty. Said that there were only 3 explanations: a potassium overdose, a sudden heart attack, or a large clot in the lung. So it's like they wanted to put something in his drink that would make him sick, but not too sick. Like, if, for instance, it wasn't like, if Ethan wasn't the original part of the target, it would be like if the next day he woke up kind of feeling fine and not realizing that something had been in there, so that he didn't look to where it could have came from. But then he ended up a victim as well because of whatever took place that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, and then Charles Hatcher confessed to have murdering 16 people between 1969 and 1982. You know what? Iowa, Indiana. Where was this one? Indiana. Iowa, Indiana. Oh, this is Missouri. Oh, that says Iowa. He was born in Missouri. Youngest of 4 children, was bullied in school, and in turn bullied his classmates, and would carry this practice into adulthood. In the spring of 36, he and his older brothers were flying a kite with copper wire they found in an old Ford. His oldest brother was about to hand the kite to him when it hit a high voltage power line. High voltage power line and electrocuted him. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Soon afterwards, his father left home and divorced his mother. I feel like this is confirming a couple of things. One, the power line, power station of some sort. And then how I said that the person who's helping, because this would be the other person now. This one would be Bryan. This would be the other person. I said that it's like they feel like they've been wronged in some way. Like something happened to them. They just feel they want to get revenge on the world. I don't think it was something like this. I don't think it was something as accidental as this with the kite. But it's that same feeling of feeling like you were wronged. Convicted of auto theft. Hatcher, I just said this is the other person. This person was, Hatcher was convicted of auto theft, which would be symbolic of driving someone else's car in this case. Was sentenced to 2 years. Burglary, serving additional time. Okay, that's all I think we're supposed to get from that. Strength. Yeah, it's like rewarding the beast. Like she's like petting him like, oh, good job, good job. I almost feel like maybe part of Bryan's confidence in terms of I can't wait to get I can't wait to be released or whatever he said. Maybe part of that is coming from this other person had him convinced that even if he gets arrested, they'd be able to help put the case together to get him out of it. I don't know. There's some kind of like advantage like that this person has in some way, 2 of Swords, but they weren't sure if they were going to have to use it or not. He was, okay, so back to this Hatcher guy. He was sent to trial and pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. I know that Idaho doesn't have that plea. He was sent to a different hospital for more evaluations, where it was determined that he was unfit to stand trial. He was, okay, so he was transferred, then was ordered to undergo 2 final examinations. One declared him competent to stand trial, and the other determined him sane to be at the time, sane at the time of the crime. 3 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, I don't think that any kind, I know that there's no insanity plea, but I'm feeling like any type of like insanity element in the defense, I don't think is going to work here. I think it's going to be seen through. And I think it has something to do with this connection to another person. Eight of Pentacles, working really hard at something. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I'm going to look into, now that I know kind of more of what I'm looking for. I feel like when I see it, I'm going to know. So I just need to now look in that area. I want to pull a couple to wrap this up. First, what can we know about Bryan's mindset right now, like in this moment? I know he has court today. I don't know if he already had it or not, but what can we know about it? We got 2. So this one was in reverse. Poet of Avon, the storyteller. And then Triumph of Lies, a bunch of lies, story full of lies. Fame, stagnation, and pride. And ironically enough, there's a knife here, and it's in the holder. It's in the sheath. But it was in reverse. So, storyteller. And then we have the Triumph of Lies. King of Lies. I would say he's just like going through the motions. Like he knows what kind of to expect, and he's not really feeling anything. Like he's just going through the motions right now. Not necessarily all the way enjoying it, but almost feeling proud that nobody can figure it out yet. Like fully, or it's almost like he's waiting for them to come to him with with a piece of evidence that's like 1,000,000,000% solid, such as like a bloody t-shirt or the knife or something. He's waiting for them to come to him and be like, okay, we have this now. Here's the only offer we're going to give you is to take the death penalty off to tell us what happened. It's like he's waiting for that. And since that hasn't happened yet, he feels like he still has a shot here. Just want to pull a couple about that. Eight of Swords reverse is about freedom, and Knight of Cups in reverse. He has unrealistic expectations of freedom. What else might come out in court today that we are not yet aware of? 2. A witness may not be fully disclosing all of the facts. Oh my gosh, there's a cat on there. And there's a person sitting in a chair. Victim had a history with the killer. It's a guy with a knife behind his back and then a female sitting on the ground. A witness may not be fully disclosing all of the facts. Sitting in a chair waiting. Cat would be a cat nap. Woken up from a cat nap. Dylan's not telling. So we don't know the full thing that Dylan has told yet, obviously. But there's something that we haven't been told yet that either helps it make more sense or helps put the pieces together in some way. And then lastly, I am still doing a video tomorrow. Hopefully about looking into what I looked into here, and then also going over the rest of the affidavit. But just to finish this part up, what can we know about the knife? Anything we can know about the knife's location right now? Military. So there was the something military about the knife. So I think that that's confirmation that, okay, this is going to be about the knife. Debt with money on fire. Life insurance. Life insurance. Somebody else but Bryan knows where that knife is and is using it to make sure he doesn't turn on them. Because then they could just say, here's the knife. And then he has nowhere else to turn. Debt is like, you owe me. You owe me for helping you get rid of this. Healing. Oh, this was the card that, about the power plant. We got the power plant and then we got this. And I was like, it's like a power plant that's not working. Government Operation Mockingbird, government controlled media, but it's in reverse. And then good, but it's in reverse. Healing, government controlled. Bird, this was the card before that we were talking about, like the bird has something in his mouth. So it's like that piece of the puzzle referring to the knife, and then good would be underground. Good, healing, the power plant, healing. This is the other half of that same deck. Murder / suicide. It's like one person taking the other person's hand. Blindfolded. The person's blindfolded too. One person's wearing gloves, the other person's blindfolded. That would be like Bryan not knowing where the knife was. Because someone else took it and got rid of it for him. Not got rid of it, but like kept it in safekeeping. Fear in reverse. Lies. Life insurance, debt. Still believe the clothes were burned. But I feel like there's multiple pieces of evidence that are buried or disposed of in different places from one another. Like not even in the same like field or forest, like they're different places. I somehow feel like that's going to be used in some way at some point, probably much later down the line. River. Homicide, but it was in reverse with the hatchet. Oh, hatchet, river? Hatchet, river. It's not in the river. It's near the river. There's like a river. There's a river. Oh my gosh, my eyes are really watery. There's a river. That like kind of like winds. My eyes are really watery. I don't know if you can see that. that like winds around some power plant structure that's not on. How far is some evidence from the knife? Like there's evidence that's not the knife, and then there's evidence that obviously is the knife. How far apart are they from each other? Queen of Cups. Knight of Swords reverse. Yeah, somebody like said, I'm going to help. I'm going to do this. I'm going to... You take this, I take this. Or you do this, I do this. It was like a last minute decision. Like when that sheath was left, it caused the other person who wasn't supposed to be an accomplice after the fact to have to step in and do something. Queen of Cups is like flowing, and then the Knight of Swords is reversed. The sword is facing down. Feminine and masculine energies. The Queen is standing in place. The Knight is moving away. So it's not in the... Yeah, they're not in the same place. I don't know exactly how far they are, but they're not in the same place. There's something that's... There's evidence that is in like a not actively working power plant or like power structure. There's like some body of water that goes around it or through it in like a like it's not just like a power tower where there's like water next to it. It's like if you see this power tower or power station or something hydroelectric or something, there's like a water that goes through it or around it in like a weird way, or like a way that would be like a sign. Again, I'm gonna look, but mind control. Affair in reverse. Feminine and masculine energy. And they're in like a... It kind of looks like a funeral home, but it might not be. I'm gonna pull 2 more of these, see what we can get, and then I'm gonna wrap it up for now and go look at the map and see if I can kind of locate the place that I'm seeing in my head. Because now with this, like before I was kind of imagining the place, but now I feel like I'm like seeing the place and I just need to see it. Suicide and it's in reverse. And the natural disaster and it's in reverse. Well, the natural disaster would be the turn that this all took because of the one person leaving a very bad clue behind. It's kind of like making it so it's very hard to not be found guilty. And that looks like it could be a power tower in the back or something, like a top of a roof. It's in reverse. I'm going to pull 1 more of these and then we're done for now. And I'm not leaving you hanging because I'm going to go and look at the locations and see what I can find. The killer is out of the area. The murder weapon will provide valuable clues. I wonder if the person does live down in that area and that's why he was down there. Or that's why he went in that direction, was to meet up with that person that was helping him. It might not be that far, but it was in that general direction that the person lives. Because he went from his house down southeast in the same direction that he had been the previous day. So like, he went, when Bryan allegedly did the murders, he left here, went all the way down, and then back up here. And then the other time he went all the way down here and then back up here and turned his phone off down here. So it's like he's going in this general direction because there's a connection to the other person in this direction. And he probably turned his phone off because he didn't want to know exactly where that person... There's some reason that he keeps going over here to the southeast area. And it has something to do with whoever was allegedly helping him, in my opinion. Some kind of connection to that area. Because he essentially went back to that same way twice, just not as far down. Well, not as far down the first time, further down the second time. All right, I'm going to look into this more, and I will have another video tomorrow.